Dire team ban.
Hey guys, we're back with Game 2 of the final game between
Radiant
Gamer
team
University,
ban.
hailing from Peru, against Team Rat in the Dark from Finland. This is going to be pretty much for the grand finals. First place coming home with $500, second place with $300. I am pumped to see some more high-level Dota, so let's get right into it. We have this Nyx Assassin being the first ban. A ban we've seen pretty much all the time now. Unfortunately, Shred isn't going to be joining me for this cast. He will still be doing the camera work, but it's going to be a solo cast by
10 seconds
myself. My name is
remaining.
Orbit. Man, I'm pretty ready for this. I'm pretty
5
excited.
seconds
Not gonna lie,
remaining.
there was some really sick play coming out of both teams in the last game. The Lina player, actually, I believe it was
Reserve
Masoku in that game, had some excellent combinations with the Shadow Demon Disruption in the laning phase to try to cement an early advantage into their
Dire
aggressive tri
team
lane.
ban.
However, just general great team fight awareness, as well as plays coming out of pretty much every single person on Team Rat in the Dark, allowed them to cement a really early advantage, pretty much on the back of a excellent Roshan fight, getting a 5-for-0 exchange, as well as another 4-for-0 exchange right after that. And they compounded that, snowballed it to victory, and they're in the lead in Game 2. They're leading 1-0. So the Wisp is actually going to be banned by them this
Dire
time,
team pick.
deciding that they don't want to have this again. This does mean, however, that the Magnus, as well as the Darkseer, are going to be up. We'll see if they choose to pick one of those, or if they decide to go for something a little bit different. And it seems like they will go for the Darkseer this time around.
Radiant team pick.
So it's up to Mystico and his crew to decide, you know what, how are we going to deal with the Darkseer potentially. They could go for a Lifestealer. That is a pretty common pick, especially this early, as we've seen it pretty much in every single game so far, either picked or banned. Just counting down the time for now. There's no rush. They are trailing,
10
unfortunately,
seconds
1-0 for them.
remaining.
But now is a really good time to sit back and say, how do we
5
want to deal with this?
seconds remaining.
We've kind of seen glimpses of how Rat in the Dark play. Do we want to make sure that they want to make sure really that that the same thing doesn't happen yet again, I should say. Magnus as well as Rubik going to be the pickups.
Dire team
Rubik a really strong support right now, especially just because if you are going to pick up that Magnus, you do not want to have a Rubik on the other team. A potentially stolen reverse polarity, compounded with Darkseer's vacuum, could be potentially pretty much fatal for their team. However, that does mean that the Lifestealer as well as
Radiant
Leshrac
team
are
pick.
going to be picked up by the team from Finland. Lifestealer just, not only is it a really good flavor of the month carry type hero, but it's just seeing so much success recently in pretty much every tournament. As I had mentioned before, being either picked or banned almost constantly. And once again,
10
Leshrac,
seconds
it is a
remaining.
hero that we haven't really seen too often, but at the same time, the
5
only really
seconds
big nerf to
remaining.
it was the cast time on the Edict. It still does what it does very well. You can run it in a 3v3 situation,
Reserve
using both the
time.
Split Earth as well as the Lightning Storm to great effect, or even just in a pushing situation if you're going to run like a 3v1 lane, for example, using that Edict to pretty much just mow down towers. The only really downside to Lesh is that he is quite a squishy hero, so if he gets caught in really bad positioning, he's going to melt pretty instantly. Just waiting on the third pickup right now for Team Gamer University. Delving into a little bit of extra time. So potential thoughts. The Undying is actually still up in the pool right now. It could do relatively well. If Magnus gets a good ultimate with the Tombstone nearby, that's a couple of waves of zombies that could be quite important.
Lina.
They are, however, going to go with the Lina. They
Dire
used it to
team
great effect
ban.
in the last game. Unfortunately, they did lose that game, but Masuku played as good a game as ever on that Lina. And it, of course, is a hero very similar to Leshrac in the sense that a pretty heavy burst damage spellcaster. The only difference really being that Lina is a little bit more burst-oriented, whereas Leshrac is more push-oriented, I would say. Both having really nice combo spells, I would say. Going into this second banning stage now. Looks like Weaver is going to be one of the bans.
Radiant
An interesting
team
ban
ban.
here. Weaver does very well against Life Dealer in the sense that if you open wounds him, he can always just Shikuchi away
Dire
and just
team
run
ban.
away at max move speed. Pretty nice respect ban, actually, coming out of Gamer University. Respect banning that Queen of Pain. Lapis played that amazing well in the first game, as well as in the game
Radiant
against Graz,
team
though, where they
ban.
managed to pretty much win their game with a very similar lineup. Anti-Mage finally being one of the other bans. It seems like Shadow Demon's going to stay in this pool. And if all things go accordingly and he isn't banned, most likely going to be picked up by Rat in the
Dire
Dark.
team
We'll see
ban.
what happens, though. Puck being another ban seems pretty similar. It seems like the Gamer University squad is going to be banning more mid-centered heroes, whereas a kind of like a mobility-favored carries being banned by Rat in the Dark. Just waiting now on the last ban from Boogie here. We'll see what he decides to do. Shadow Demon is still, of course, left in the pool, but I think if it's up to him, he's not going to ban that Shadow Demon. More likely going to leave it up to Gamer University,
10 seconds remaining.
being captained by Mystico, of course, to ban that hero.
5 seconds remaining.
Taking a little bit more time with this ban. Just thinking about every possible
Reserve
opportunity
time.
right now. Phantom Lancer actually going to be the last ban. Just, you know, a hero that does pretty well against the Lifestealer, to be honest, and just, you know, seeing his strength in the early and mid game. In the GosuCup Asia, actually, which we had casted about a month earlier, there was quite a few teams that's primary strategy was just get that Phantom Lancer, get it now, farm it to victory, because it is really your ultimate late game. Undying being the final ban here, and I would not be surprised if I saw a Shadow Demon picked up right away. If not Shadow Demon, maybe a mid-hero such as the Brewmaster. We'll see what they decide to do. It is going to be the Shadow Demon. The thing about that Shadow Demon pickup that was really important is that it would have worked incredibly well with both lineups. The only thing is Rubik, of course, was already picked up by the Radiant squad now, by Gamer University, so they didn't really have much of a place for it without running the Rubik in the mid lane. But I'm actually quite surprised to see that Shadow Demon wasn't banned out by Gamer University. I think that was a highly expected pick coming out of Rat in the Dark. And because they left it in, it kind of leads me to believe that they have a way of dealing with that Shadow Demon pick.
5 seconds remaining.
Windrunner at your service.
Windrunner going to be an either an offlane or a mid lane answer by Gamer University. They could easily run that Magnus in the offlane. More likely going to run Magnus mid and then have Windrunner in the offlane. Windrunner, just in case they do run a solo safe lane, does very well up against in a 1v1 situation. And Magnus, of course, will find farm no matter what in the mid lane. So just waiting on the carry pretty much for Gamer University. As well as just the most likely either a mid lane or a solo safe lane potentially coming out from the Finn stack themselves, Team Rat in the Dark.
5 seconds remaining.
But really, Rat in the Dark has a lot of mobility in their lanes. They don't necessarily have to run an aggressive tri lane with the Lifestealer, Leshrac, and Shadow Demon. They could easily run that safe lane and just free farm the Lifestealer. They're going to pick up the Brewmaster, so more likely... Oh wow, the Faceless Void actually being the last pickup, a really hard carry in this sense. This pretty much cements the fact that they are going to run a safe lane tri lane with a Void Lina as well as a Rubik. So we'll see what they decide to do. We'll see what Rat in the Dark decide to do with their tri lane, if they decide to run it aggressively against a Faceless Void or not. One of the big ways to shut down a Lifestealer is just mobility hindering spells that will go through Rage, and Reverse Polarity as well as the Chronosphere are two spells that can really help in that regards. Rubik also has some really nice spells to steal in that sense. He could potentially steal the Surge to try to direct whoever Lifestealer is focusing away from them. He could even steal the Demonic Purge from the Shadow Demon to slow him down. Even just Brewmaster's Ultimate just for massive teamfight havoc there. Going over the picks right now, we have Mystico playing this Rubik. It's going to be Smash on the Magnus as well. It looks like all 5 of them are actually heading bot right now. Mihawk playing the Windrunner, Masoku playing his trademarked Lina, and finally Iro on that Faceless Void. And on the other hand, here on the Dire side, we have Boogie playing the Shadow Demon, Spin playing the Darkseer, JRX playing the Leshrac, Sifla playing the Lifestealer, Lepi's playing the Brewmaster. It looks like we're going to have a level 1 engagement pretty much right off the bat, actually, which is why I was speeding up right now. Excellent Shackle Shot stopping the Leshrac. They are going to try to go on to the Rubik now. Nice Life Cycle away as well as Telekinesis, bringing everyone back. This is pretty much a full-out 5-on-5 engagement right now. Faceless Void doesn't have his Time Walk on cooldown. Nice Leshrac stun as well as a good clap. They're trying to do as much to this faceless void as possible. Is he going to get out in time? He gets his time walk out yet again. They're going to try to turn around to the bottom lane, but it looks like all 5 are going to retreat now. A 5-for-5 engagement. Absolutely nothing happening in the end, but that's okay. Everyone going back to their lanes, and man, if this is the start of what this game 2 is going to look like, we're in for a hell of a treat, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. Oh man, the regeneration room being picked up by the Rune Master, really important pickup, as he did use pretty much 2 claps in that fight, sitting at very low mana. This lets him get back into lane pretty much with full mana. Really important there. Wow, what a good start to this game. Good rotation though coming out. They're actually giving up the free farming Faceless Void. They're letting him go to this bottom lane. And they're going to have a free farmer of them themselves, basically. Windrunner is going to be going onto this top lane. She is most likely not going to get too much, though. Actually, aggressive ping now coming out from this Lifestealer. He wants to try to make some movements to go on her. Of course, Windrunner wisely backing off on this top lane. We'll see how long it takes for the supports for the Gamer University squad to start rotations, considering they don't really need both of their supports there. Actually, they did place an Observer Ward aggressively while they were in that 5-on-5 engagement, making sure that they can't pull here. Really smart play. Really nice play. Just making sure that the supports get as little as possible and have to delay everything. Sentry Wards actually aren't picked up by any of the Radiant supports, which means that they aren't going to be able to deward this for a little bit. So really good play. That Observer Ward in that pull spot is going to work very well for them. And already we see some rotation. Windrunner is going into the mid lane, but Darkseer catches her. Is Brewmaster going to run forwards? It looks like he will. Gets the clap off onto the Windrunner in the mid lane. She's actually taking a lot of damage. She only has level 1 Shackle Shot. Are they going to be able to get this kill though? Wow, it doesn't look like it. The Surge back. Magnus tried to skewer Brewmaster, and he was taking quite a bit of damage, but good surge by the Darkseer just to make sure his hero gets out safely as well. Some pretty interesting engagements coming out so far. Nice roaming by the Windrunner as well as the Rubik to try to make something happen into the mid lane. Doesn't end up working this time around.
You dare not.
Hey, where'd I go?
Windrunner picking up the invisibility rune might let her get a little bit more experience in this top lane. We'll see what ends up happening though. There are sentry wards on the Shadow Demon, so there could be some pretty heavy out skills going on right now. Lestrak kind of just running around in circles right now. It looks like they're just kind of biding their time. So most likely not going to catch this Windrunner. However, they did see her pick up the Invis rune, so not too sure what's going to happen here. Oh, wow. They managed to see her. They get... Oh, barely missing the stun, unfortunately. In the top lane, so she does get away okay, and now she knows that there is a sentry ward there, so good attempt at the trap there by the Finnish team, but doesn't end up working this time around.
Forget it.
In terms of farm, really even. I mean, both carries free farming, both mids sitting around the same CS as well. The only thing is there are 3 heroes on the Radiant with pretty much 0 CS. The Lina, the Rubik, as well as the Windrunner, and that's primarily due to the fact that the Observer Ward was placed blocking the spawn for the pull spot on the Radiant side. So just, it seems so small, but it's actually massive, considering that there's a lot of money being, given towards the Shadow Demon as well as the Lesh. They're already pretty much level 2, both of them, so doing pretty well for themselves there too. It also lets their Lifestealer get a lot more solo experience being able to farm there, because as you can see, Lifestealer is level 4.5 compared to the level 3, almost 4 of the Faceless Void in his safe lane. For the time being, it looks like some bottle crowing going to happen for the Brewmaster. Doesn't expect himself to get the rune, I guess. That's really what the main focus is here. Some trade-offs, the clap for the shockwave in the mid lane. Oh, Ping's actually coming out onto this Windrunner, but she's a little bit too quick for them, even though she doesn't have her boots of speed up. Neither do the supports for Team Rat in the Dark for now. Neither team giving anything up. Both teams playing pretty defensively in their respective lanes. Darkseer, of course, being in the jungle, deciding against going to that long lane. The Edict has started. Looks like they want to get this push right underway, forcing the Fortify as well. We'll see if they can do damage. They might have to end up tanking a little bit of tower creep damage. Doesn't look like it actually in the end because the next creep wave comes in time, and with the siege creep, looks like they are going to get the top tower. So really nice play there, coming out of Team Rat in the Dark, getting the first blood in terms of at least tower kills. Oh, speaking of first blood, I actually ended up missing this. The Magnus getting the kill on the Brewmaster. Hopefully it was caught on our camera. Unfortunately, I'm not controlling the camera. But looks like a pretty heavy dive from the Rubik as well as Lina. Lina forced to pop her salve. And of course the first blood going on the Brewmaster for the Magnus, kind of giving him a good advantage there in the mid lane.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
In the meantime, Faceless Void continuing to do what he does best. Farming creeps, picking up his Hand of Midas as well, and using it almost instantly once he gets it. I'm going to keep my eye a little bit more on this mid lane because of the amount of roaming done by the supports, considering they have this pole spot blocked. But now that Panda's level 6, it's going to be a lot harder to kind of engage him properly. Just because of the fact that he can always use Primal Split and either turn it on you or just run away with it. He hasn't actually skilled yet.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
There you go. Skills his Primal Split finally. Over on the bot lane, Darkseer now hitting level 5, going down to the bot just to make sure that his tower doesn't take too much damage. They're trying to keep a tower advantage for Rat in the Dark. Of course, now he's kind of just being safe, for the time being at least. Shadow Demon, is he going to be able to get this? Oh wow, uses the Disruption as well as a Shadow Whip. Shackle Shot ends up missing. Pops her Wind Run as well, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work. Brewmaster ends up getting the last hit there, as well as getting the Haste Rune and using the Haste Rune. So a nice pick off there. In full knowledge of the fact that Windrunner was running up that way with an excellently placed Observer Ward. So great job once again coming out of Rat in the Dark. Really impressive team so far. I've been quite impressed and quite happy with their play this GosuCup Americas. So Midas is now picked up on both of the main carries. So it seems like both teams have a very similar strategy of just kind of delaying things for now. We'll see if Lifestealer decides to pick up a relatively early armlet, and if they want to start engaging as 5 earlier. For the time being though, I feel like the Radiant team, Gamer University, is going to be a lot more comfortable just delaying the game. Faceless Void with 6 items is one of the scarier hard carries in the game, that's for sure. Four heroes now geared up on the mid lane, really defensively kind of situated as well. I guess they might be looking to use the Magnus as bait. However, there are 4 heroes now, 3 of them being smoked up for the Rat in the Dark, and they might try to go onto this Darkseer. Sorry, onto the Faceless Void. Faceless Void still a little bit forwards for the time being, inching forward ever so slowly. Are they going to be able to get this kill? That's the question. Oh, they actually don't seem like they're going to get it yet. He's going to try to look down, uses his, oh no, he's actually going to get edicted, oh no. He's just going to stay there and take a lot of the damage from the edict. Lestrak manages to pick that off. At the same time though, Magnus getting the kill on the Lifestealer, so both hard carries going down. Of course, the reverse polarity was used by the Magnus to guarantee the Lifestealer kill, but at the same time, Void going down as well. It's not the greatest situation for either team. The important thing is there is no glyph up for the Radiant, so this means that JRX is going to have his edict, the full effect's really going to be used onto this bottom tower, so that's a second tower being used, and this really shows the full power of the Lestrak. These edicts are really making sure they get the early tower advantage. A TP back defensively into the mid lane for Lappies on the Brewmaster. They're going to use the Fortify as well. Lifestealer now back into the fray, as well as the Faceless Void. Faceless Void might find himself a little bit more area to farm because his safe lane tower has gone down, whereas the Lifestealer's hasn't. So we'll see what they decide to do for now. Nice steal of this jungle camp by the Darkseer. Salves up as well. Good play by the Lestrak. Lestrak's going to TP back to base, seeing as he has no mana. Sitting at around 800 gold as well. Picks up a Bracer. We'll see if he decides to make something like a Drums, or if it's just going to be a casual Bracer for more health, because he is only at 663 health right now. Relatively squishy for a hero. Good counter warding in the mid lane coming out of Boogie. Counter warding the aggressive Observer Ward coming out from Gamer University. Maybe not aggressive, but just to see the positioning in the mid lane. Because a lot of this action so far has come into the mid lane, with a couple of ganks coming into the side lanes for the carries, of course. And so begins the siege onto this mid tower. There are a lot of heroes here for Gamer University just to quench this push, I guess. This is a pretty interesting area for Brewmaster to be. Looks like he wants to go down into the bot lane. Maybe cause some havoc for this Faceless Void. Faceless Void running down into his jungle, actually being really scared right now, time walking into the forest, making sure he does not get engaged upon because they did see the Brewmaster rotate. And there we go. Looks like the mid lane pressure is going to continue from Gamer University. Void, of course, time walking back into lane from that bottom lane. 4 heroes now for Gamer University on the mid lane, whereas the Lifestealer is farming away. Void now starting to farm a little bit in the jungle as well. But in that sense, it's 2 farming heroes for Rat in the Dark against the kind of 1 farming hero for now for the Radiant. Lena, of course, you know, jungling a little bit, as well as they are kind of pushing the mid lane too, so that's okay. That Magnus is sitting at 1600 gold. He's getting closer and closer towards his Blink Dagger, and that's going to be a really important pick for him. If he can blink and get a really nice reverse polarity, they might even be able to win some pretty heavy team fights, getting good pickoffs on the Lishrak, maybe the Shadow Demon, maybe even the Lifestealer. It's going to be pretty hard to pick off that Brewmaster, unfortunately, just because of the fact that Primal Split should still be used even if he gets reverse polarity. But any pickoffs are good pickoffs for that reverse polarity for sure. And it's going to be a lot easier with that Blink Dagger. Lena now at about 950 gold. She's getting closer to her Arcane Boots, which is really going to help their mana. That'd be the second Arcane Boots, I believe, being picked up for their team. Yep. Perseverance now picked up for the Faceless Void, looking to go for a Battle Fury. Of course, that Midas is going to accelerate his farm quite a bit. In the meantime, we haven't really seen any item progression coming out of that Lifestealer. He's sitting at about 1800 gold right now. So we'll see in the next couple of minutes what he decides to pick up. More than likely going to be that armlet, just because of how strong it is. Smoke Gang coming in from the bottom lane, spamming pings, and Brewmaster wisely backs up. So good play there. Knowing when to retreat, really important. Playing incredibly safe right now, expecting something's up, and it is up. There are 4 heroes here. At the same time, another potential gank coming out of the Dire squad onto Gamer University, but the Windrunner once again wisely backing up. Both of these teams just really strong in terms of knowing when to retreat, when to go forward, and just their general positioning and movement as teams. So good play so far. We're sitting at about 12 minutes into the game. It's a 4,000 gold advantage in favor of Rat in the Dark, as well as around a 3,000 experience advantage, even though the kills are even. The gold advantage is pretty much due to the fact that they have 2 towers taken right now. So that'll definitely be interesting to see if, you know, towers being taken by the Radiant kind of helps them out a little bit, because it's still a really even game. Here comes movement from the Lishrak and the Darkseer. They're not going to run into anyone just yet, but moving towards the mid lane. Just kind of keeping up the... This entire game has really been about the mid lane, I'd like to say. Void has to find a different place to farm, most likely, unfortunately, as the Brewmaster is in his lane, kind of halting momentarily his farm. Lifestealer, the same exact thing is happening to him. It's kind of like a mirrored game right now, with both the Rubik and the Lena making sure that Lifestealer can't find any farm and has to go back into the jungle. So both carries once again going into the jungle to find their farm. Pretty funny, actually. Brewmaster picking up his Blink Dagger first. That's going to be pretty important. Does Magnus have enough money for it? He's sitting at about 100 gold away. So both the mid lane heroes picking up their Blink Daggers at the exact same time. Both hard carries picking up their Midases at about the same time. And the kind of movement as well as aggression from both heroes. The smoke ganks, the just aggression for the lanes is kind of mimicked from both teams as well. So very closely matched game.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Yet another fortify going on to the mid lane just to prevent that tower from going down. And Gamer University backs off for the time being, at least. Armlet's now finished for that Lifestealer, so that was really the expected item choice for him. And the Blink Dagger, of course, is finally now picked up onto that Magnus. Very tense situation right now. I mean, from an explosive level 1 5-on-5 engagement now just kind of dying down a little bit. It's 2-2, 14 minutes in. Not the most action-packed, but there's a lot of movement and a lot of pressure. Blink forward and grabbing the invis. And with that blink forward, Rat in the Dark knows that Magnus has his Blink Dagger up. So that first blink engagement isn't going to come as a surprise to them. And that's actually quite important. Interesting that he would go to get that rune in that regards. He could have potentially used his skewer there to grab that rune. Of course, now just instead giving away his Blink Dagger. So notice the positioning now. Because they know that the Blink Dagger's up, Leshrac and Shadow Demon are pretty much sitting in the back to make sure that they can disrupt or just cast Split Earth on anyone trying to move forward in the engagement. There are now 5 heroes mid. 4 team... Oh, wow. A nice infest going on to this Brewmaster. They look like they want to engage right away. Are they going to do so? Wow, I actually thought he was going to, but the Shockwave actually canceling the Blink Dagger from the Brewmaster. Here comes the engagement. Blink forward as well as the clap, and the infest going off onto Magnus. Magnus gonna go away. Oh man, is he gonna get a split off in time? Wow, he gets a split off in time, even though the Lina uses her ultimate there. And they're just gonna use this onto the tower, it looks like.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yep, the Fortify actually ends up being used. That's a pretty interesting Fortify to say the least. Oh no, oh, blink backwards. Wow, barely living with 29 HP. Pretty interesting place to have his Earth Panda. Just, he came back pretty much in the middle of 4 Radiant heroes, but manages to blink back in time. So, yes, the Brewmaster ultimate was used, but they did manage to get a tower picked off. However, there is going to be a tower going against them as well, because Brewmaster is forced to retreat, and the reverse polarity is still up for this Magnus. Wow, look at the giant stack there for Gamer University. They're gonna stack it one more time. Hopefully, that Wildkin unfortunately blocks the remaining camp there from spawning. They did it a little bit. I actually expected them to pretty much complete that stack, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Let's take a look at how Faceless Void is doing right now. Does he have any parts on the Courier? It looks like yes, he does. He has his Claymore completed. So he's about 600 gold away from his battle period, relatively early. However, he did die early, so that kind of halted his progress. At the same time, the Life Stealer did die as well. So he's only sitting at about 1300 now. Going to be 1400 once he uses his Midas. Hopefully he goes into the jungle relatively quickly. In fact, they're going to smoke, so he's not going to use his Midas for the time being, kind of halting its progress until they manage to potentially get a pick off. Oh, this is actually going to be a smoke into Roche. They wanted to make sure that there was no observer wards for the Radiant here on the Roshan. And look at the passivity of this Faceless Void. Knowing that something's wrong, they're going to just, he's going to instead go into the jungle and just farm up a little bit. Oh, looks like an observer ward going down. He's going to place it near the Roche, I believe. He's actually getting the... Wow, getting the Illusioner in first. And it's going to scout the Roshan, but it's a little bit too little too late. Lifestealer is going to get the Aegis of the Immortal. So a nice smoke into Roche there by Team Rat in the Dark, and they get what they came for. Oh wow, Windrunner is actually doing very well for herself. A nice bounce back from her. She's pretty much completed her mech now, whenever she decides to buy it. And there it goes. So good play by her. She has her relatively early mech. At the same time, the Darkseer, her exact counterpart, yet again, pretty much a mimic in terms of their item progression. Mech finished by him as well.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Leshrac picking up his Ogre Club. Actually, an aggressive TP here from the Shadow Demon. He's looked like he was going to get engaged on, actually, but a nice Demonic Purge going on to this Windrunner. They're going to try to take her down. Are they going to get her? Yes, excellent play there. Lifestealer getting the last hit. She pretty much melted to that Lifestealer as well. On the other hand, Faceless Void picking off the Brewmaster. That's a little bit more of an important pickup. He did have his Primal split off, but it seems like a Chronosphere was used to get this kill. However, a Reverse Clarity was not.
Dire's bottom tower
no Fortify up for about 10 seconds for the Dire means that the Faceless Void is going to get the last hit on this tower. And they look like they're going to try to defend this top tower. There are 4 heroes here. They don't have the Brewmaster, so it looks like they're just going to back off relatively wisely as well. Look how aggressive Magnus is being, just because he does have that Blink Dagger up as well as the Reverse Polarity still up, as it was not used to kill off that Brewmaster. Just, getting some more stacks on the back of that Darkseer. He's picked up 2 rings of regen. He's only his ring of health away from his hood, so working towards his pipe for now. Going to be a relatively good pickup as well. Will negate a lot of the damage that Lina has to offer, as well as just the Windrunner's power shot and the shockwave coming out from that Magnus. 20 minutes or so into the game, it's about a 3,000 gold advantage in favor of Team Rat in the Dark, but starting to climb its way back up. And it's going to be about a 2,500 experience advantage. Very small, slight advantages, but we've seen what Rat in the Dark can do with even just the slightest advantage. So, it's a little bit scary, even in that sense. Looks like Faceless Void seems like something's wrong. He's going to TP into the mid lane. There's a lot of farm there for him. He is farming pretty well, sitting at 131 last hits, but neck and neck with this Lifestealer, sitting at around 129 CS. Actually, in terms of last hitting, the Dire's doing a little bit better, coming out with the Brewmaster as well as the Darkseer doing quite well. Darkseer especially has pretty much double the CS of the Windrunner, his so-and-so counterpart, I guess, in this game. Some nice wards actually on the map right now. Both teams, I guess, placing both defensive wards as well as aggressive wards. I mean, you can see the defensive ward from that Dire on the top there, just to make sure that their towers don't get like the top tower is defended well, as well as just a little bit of an aggressive ward onto that mid lane. However, it does look like the Dire wants to gear up towards this bottom lane. Rat in the Dark want to do as much damage as possible here. They do not have the Leshrac here. He's a little bit away as well. And the Faceless Void at the same time, pretty far away. But they're going to get there at about the same time. So if there is an engagement that will happen, it might be a 5-on-5 engagement. Lifestealer taking a lot of damage actually, but he does have his Aegis of the Immortal, so he can afford to do this. He's actually going to infest. They ended up seeing that infest. I think they saw it. So this is actually kind of scary. It doesn't seem like any pings are coming out though, so I'm not too sure if they saw the Lifestealer infest inside that Brewmaster or not, as it was nighttime. The catapult was there, but because of the nighttime vision, it may not have been able to get him. Are they going to engage onto this? Wow, they get the Soul Catcher onto the Magnus. Doesn't seem like they want to engage yet though, because the creep wave is so far back. It'd kind of be a little bit of a dangerous situation, as Panda would of course be blinking into so many people. Faceless Void does have a TP up. He has picked up his Mithril Hammer, looking towards completing his BKB most likely. Blink forward as well as a clap and the infest. They're going to try to do as much damage as possible. They get the Rubric, but he does have a Ghost Scepter as well as seals the open wounds now. However, an excellent, actually interesting wall here placed by this Darkseer. Pretty offensive and zoning a lot. A lot of heroes being low on health. But you know what? They are going to potentially get this tower. Actually, what an aggressive TP from this Faceless Void. He gets stunned almost instantly thanks to a great split earth there from the Leshrac, and he doesn't seem like he's going to get any kills. If that split earth did not happen, that was a Chronosphere on a lot of low health heroes. That Shadow Demon definitely would have gotten killed. And maybe even the Aegis from the Lifestealer. Lifestealer going back into the passive farming of the jungle as well. 150 CS for pretty much both the main carries right now, sitting neck and neck. In terms of gold per minute, Lifestealer has a little bit more. He's sitting at 1-1 compared to the also 1-1 of the Faceless Void. So you know what? It's pretty much negligible, their differences. Might actually just be due to the fact that they have a couple more towers. And by a couple, I really just mean one more tower. So we'll take a little bit of a look at the gold per minute once the bottom tier 2 tower goes down, if it actually ends up going down as well. Brewmaster picking up his point booster, looks towards getting his Aghanim Scepter. Going to be a really big pickup for him, that's for sure. Invisrune being picked up by this Magnus, looking to be a little bit aggressive. Really nice positioning for himself there. Even though he is Invis, this positioning is going to allow him to get a relatively good blink as well as reverse polarity, if he so chooses, if the Dire decide to aggressively defend this tower.
Dire's bottom tower
They might not though. I mean, this Panda ultimate's still about 50 seconds away. They do try to engage onto the Faceless Void, but an open wound's being stolen, and now the Rage is stolen. I think that's the primary ability that Rubik wanted to steal before. Pretty much allowing himself to have a 6-second magic immunity, very similar to a BKB. Patiently waiting his time. Look at both the Brewmaster as well as the Magnus. They're just both waining for the opportunity to strike from both teams. So with this last hit, Lina actually gets the last hit on the tower. Lifestealer getting engaged. Chronosphere forward, but Magnus actually getting trapped in that Chronosphere as well. Lifestealer taking a decent amount of damage. He's gonna get, wow, excellent, actually, reverse polarity catches 3 heroes. Lifestealer gonna go down as well as a Shadow Demon. Darkseer's wall is stolen by the Rubik, as well as the vacuum going into his wall of their own. Magnus taking quite a bit of damage, but no one really wants to go in right now. Lifestealer ended up having to buy back. Look how aggressive. Nice clap there by that Brewmaster. They're gonna try to go on Mystico. Mystico pretty much suiciding there to make sure that his Faceless Void escapes. Great play by him, just trying to negate their losses. It's 5-5 right now, really even engagements, but they seem to be favoring the Radiant right now. If only due to the fact that the gold graphs have been kind of getting a little bit more and more even. It's kind of rounding out around 0 now. Wow. Crazy TP there. He gets out just in time. Leshrac brushes by him. Doesn't manage to get the split Earth though on the Lina. So good play by the Lina once again. Masuku's been playing a phenomenal Lina so far, and I see why they're really valuing that hero in their picking stage. BKB now picked up for the Faceless Void. It's going to get scarier and scarier to engage on him. I mean, not only does he have to 25% backtracks, that's one way of dealing with the Lifestealer, but I mean, the damage output from him as well is going to be nothing to scoff at. Lifestealer picks up his Reaver, looking to go for a heart now. Just maxing his survivability, and the Aghanim Scepter now is finished on that Brewmaster. They're probably going to want to wait for that Aghanim Scepter to reach before they engage. This is like it's kind of like a tit-for-tat game, in the sense that one tower goes down, an engagement happens. Wow, speaking of engagements, actually, Magnus is going to get engaged on right now. The Brewmaster's Primal Split's going to focus him for the time being. Is he going to go down? He's sitting around 100 health. Unfortunately, they do decide to back off. 2 heroes sitting dangerously low, both the Rubik as well as the Magnus. Once again, this lets them put a little bit of pressure onto this mid lane, but instead deciding to back off. Don't want to get caught right now. Nice Shackle Shot, getting the Lifestealer, actually. He's actually might take a lot of damage. A Disruption, though, coming out from that Shadow Demon. A really well-placed Chronosphere as well. Pops his BKB, too. Wow, look at the great vacuum. Stolen by the Rubik as well. This fight is actually going really well in favor of the Radiant right now, taking out the Lifestealer, but every hero is pretty much low. Darkseer is going to be taken out as well. That's a 3-for-1 exchange. Great play here by the Radiant. These fights are so even, but just those big ultimates being used to great effect. Ewo had a fantastic Chronosphere there, catching the Lifestealer on the edge and making sure that it was placed so that any of the supports couldn't really go in to help because of the fact that it was so far, the big gap between the Chronosphere. They would have had to pretty much go use spells that traverse through the diameter. Another tower being destroyed by the Radiant. This one is not a trade, however. Although it seems like it, because it is back and forth. No damage was actually taken on the Radiant's tier 2 tower in the mid lane. And now we're starting to see the gold as well as the experience advantage start to climb in favor of Gamer University, doing a really good job here in Game 2. They are behind Game 1, down by 1 game, having lost Game 1. But this is a best of 3. Anything can happen right now. And anything is happening. I mean, Gamer University really bringing their A game this game. Roshan's being pinged out. It has respawned once again, so it seems like the next fight most likely going to happen in this area. The teleport is up for the Leshrac, so although he is split pushing, he can get there relatively quickly. He does, of course, have to teleport to his base tower, but it's not that far away, especially considering that he is on the Dire side. Just some general passive behavior now coming out. Neither team really wants to engage right now. Magnus' team, actually, now that his reverse polarity is up, will probably look to engage based on the fact that all their ultimates are up. Are they going to try to smoke, though? That is the question. It doesn't seem like they have a smoke available, though, so probably not. And it seems like the drum is actually going to be picked up by Leshrac before he gets his BKB. So just to adding a little bit of survivability, as well as the move speed and attack speed that you will get from that. Both teams staying very close to this Roshan. However, because of although the Radiant has a worse positioning, they are able to farm their jungle as long as they keep a good tabs on if Rosh is being done or not. Whereas Dire can't really farm anything except their Ancients, which Lifestealer is doing right now, while they wait for this kind of Roshan to happen. So in that sense, Radiant might get a little bit more out of the engagement if they try to stall for the Rosh. I thought Brewmaster had his Aghanim Scepter. It seems like he's actually around 100 gold away right now. I missed the fact that he didn't have a Blade of Alacrity picked up. But he's going to want this pretty quickly. He's going to clap just to get the last hits. And there it comes. Aghanim Scepter on the way for Brewmaster. His ultimate's going to be up for this fight as well. No smoke necessary. Gank apparently being done by this... oh wow. Force Staff forward as well as a Blink and a Reverse Polarity catching only one hero. A pretty interesting Chronosphere actually going on that Shadow Demon. He's going to go down. BKB also popped by this Void. The Primal Split going off onto this Darkseer as well as a nice Darkseer vacuum as well as a wall going off. That's going to be a 2-for-1 engagement. Really questionable plays there. Solo Reverse Polarity as well as a solo Chronosphere. The Reverse Polarity didn't work at all. It did pick up the tankiest hero now that Lifestealer had picked up the Heart. Wow, they actually get the Cyclone onto this Faceless Void. Are they going to be able to get him though? Doesn't seem like it. And everyone's backing off quite wisely. This could allow Team Rat in the Dark here to get a potential Roshan engagement, considering that there are 2 big teamfight ultimates that are not up. Scouting it with the power shot. I think she managed to get a glimpse of Lifestealer, but they don't know the health on the Roshan right now. Considering the fact that there's only the mid-tier 2 tower to teleport to, it seems like they might be able to get a free Rosh right now. We'll see if anyone tries to contest this Roshan. Going to be pretty interesting. Actually, Shadow Demon trying to do as much damage as possible to this Magnus. He's going to have to force himself to skewer away for the time being, of course, at the expense of the Shadow Demon ultimate, but at the same time, that zoning allows them to get the Aegis of the Immortal picked up on the Lifestealer. He's sitting at a pretty scary amount of health as well as survivability with that Aegis of the Immortal. Once he pops his armlet, he'll probably be at around, yep, 3,100 health.
Radiant's top tower has been denied.
Regen picked up on this Brewmaster. He doesn't have his ultimate for another 45 or so seconds. He's at level 14 right now, so doing pretty well. At the same time, his counterpart, the Magnus, sitting at his Oblivion Staff, working towards his Refresher Orb, picked up a Force Staff as well. Pretty interesting pickup for a Magnus. That's not something you see every day, considering that generally you'll want heroes like Rubik as well as Lina, and maybe even the Windrunner to pick it up. Rubik and Windrunner do have their Force Staffs as well, though, so that's okay to say the least. That's a lot of Force Staffs for one team, though, making really good use of their mobility to deal with this Lifestealer. And that's pretty much exactly the reason why we have so many Force Staffs, just because they need to kite this Lifestealer. Lifestealer does so much damage on single targets, as is, that they just need to shut him down however possible. And one Force Staff is just a couple of seconds he's not attacking another person. Eagle Song being picked up by the Faceless Void, looking towards picking up a Butterfly. A pretty strong pickup. It kind of forces an MKB pickup out of the Lifestealer if he so decides to focus on the Faceless Void. That's 3 stacks now on the Radiant Ancient squad, whereas the Dire haven't really been prioritizing Ancient stacks. Taking a look at the graphs yet again, it's about a 2,000 gold advantage as well as a 3,000 experience advantage in favor of Gamer University. So very small advantages considering it's 32 minutes into the game. But some excellent play really to try to get those advantages back, considering that Team Rat in the Dark did have the primary advantage from the beginning. Split pushing coming out from both the Windrunner as well as the Faceless Void. Windrunner picks off the top tier 2 tower and TP's back in time, and Faceless Void starting to do some damage onto the bottom tier 3 tower actually.
Radiant structures are
fortification being used by the Radiant, and they decide that, you know what, we really need to start doing something about the Faceless Void, backing off just a little bit. Instead, you know what, now that they see the Faceless Void gone from that lane, nope, both teams kind of really worried. An aggressive TP from this Lifestealer, forcing the Time Walk back from the Faceless Void, and everyone's just going to back up for the Dire as well. Interesting pings now coming out from the Radiant. They have smoked, of course, as we have seen, and they might actually end up catching this Brewmaster. They're going to Force Staff the Rubik as well as the Telekinesis onto him. They're going to pretty much try to burst him down as quickly as possible. He goes down before he can use his Primal Split. And a very important pickoff. He's down for about 50 seconds, considering he just picked up his Vlads. now that every outer tower is down for the Dire, Dire is pretty much forced to stay in their base. They're sitting pretty much in the dark in terms of defensive wards. They have some pretty aggressive wards for that mid-tier 2 tower for the raid. However, nothing to deal with the potential heroes invading their jungle. And as we saw, a really nice smoke and catching out that Brewmaster means that everyone's now sitting in base, pretty much camping the mid lane, while the Radiant are farming the jungle. Magnus is going to the bot lane. Faceless Void looks like he's going to time walk up to do some of the Dire's jungle for now. So making full advantage of farming efficiency once there's one down, forcing both the Dire to go in the dark and taking some of the farm away from them. And keeping the lanes pushed as well. Iron Branch dropped here, says Lena. Just a shout out to Iron Branch casting, apparently. Thanks for that, Masoku. Really appreciate it. I'm just fooling around. Now that the glyph is down, though, this edict is going to have its full effect on the tower. So they do get a mid tower. However, Faceless Void continues his split push, and he's going to start doing damage onto this top tower. Tanking the brunt of the damage. He's going to probably... He keeps it on him for the time being, but doing a lot of damage. Looks like an engagement happening, though, in the mid lane. Brewmaster blinking forward as well. Great reverse polarity, hitting 3 heroes of TP by this Faceless Void. Unfortunately, it's a little bit late. Primal Split actually going off as well. They're focusing the Lifestealer. Are they going to be able to get him down? He does have the Aegis of the Immortal, so he is going to drop. The Aegis is popped. Faceless Void actually taking a little bit of damage as well. Lifestealer now back into the fray. Buyback being forced by the Magnus as well. He does not have his reverse polarity, however. If the Void was in that fight and there when the reverse polarity had gone off, that would have been a massive Chronosphere and just like a lot of heroes going down. Unfortunately, since he was split pushing during that entire time, he did have to TP back, and it was a little bit of a delayed reaction from him. Blink forward as well as an attempt at a skewer back coming out of Smash, but he doesn't catch anyone in that exchange. So the one big casualty there in that sense was a buyback, so the pressure stays on, I guess.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
A lot of damage being taken from the bottom tower here for the Dire. Lifestealer being forced to TP back just to deal with this. And there we go. Deals with it relatively quickly. Still a pretty crazy game right now, if I may say so myself. It's a 4,000 as well as a 7,000 or so advantage in favor of Gold and XP respectively. Smoke being used by the Radiant in the mid lane. Actually being pinged out as well. They saw that happen with a good observer ward placement, so they're going to be really scared. And as you can see, the Darkseer surges himself back, and they want to stay pretty much near their towers at all costs. Magnus is going to have his ultimate up about 20 seconds earlier than this Brewmaster, so we'll see if they try to have that kind of timing window to make an engagement occur. And if they do, man, that would be a really nice play and really great understanding of the two ultimates as well as their respective cooldowns. And it looks like this is exactly what they want to do. The Chronosphere is up as well. It's a level 3 Chronosphere, so that's going to be lasting for about 5 seconds now. Open Wounds being used by the Faceless Void. He's going to go forward time lock, actually. Forced to use his BKB as well as a slightly defensive Chronosphere. Doesn't really know what he wants to do with this, actually. Running back and forth, Gets stunned as soon as his BKB runs out, too. His time lock's on cooldown, too. Is he going to go down? He ends up going down. At the same time, Magnus blinking forward as well as force tapping himself down the cliff. Lifestealer is going really just crazy in this fight, though. Oh man, the ultimate from the Lena as well, doing a lot of damage to this Leshrac. Leshrac forced to pop his 15 charge magic stick to escape, but he manages to escape, and that's the important part. Really hesitant play coming out of this Faceless Void. Not too sure what I think about that. That really just... He could have done so much more damage in that fight. Just realized all tabbed back out, and we're sitting at around 8 hours and a half of casting in this GosuCup Americas. Man, feels like a full-time job, doesn't it? My throat feels like it's gone through a full-time job as well, just yelling non-stop. But you know what? It's some really high-quality Dota. Really nice plays. I mean, just the fact that Faceless Void wasn't attacking during that Chronosphere, that was the difference between a won team fight and a lost team fight. And with a won team fight, they definitely would have been able to get at least one set of Raxes in the top lane. However, a nice defensive posturing by Team Rat in the Dark allows them to get a really successful hold of their base there. Still no BKB up for Leshrac, so this isn't really as much of a strong Leshrac as we've seen in the past from Team Rat in the Dark. Although he is sitting at 2-0-5, so maybe he's still doing quite well for himself. That's a really good score for a 4 hero. Brewmaster about 400 experience away from his level 3 ultimate. I'd be surprised if he wants to engage before he has that. I'd much rather prefer him to have his level 3 ultimate there in that fight. And my doorbell has just rung, but I'll be right back really quickly. Sorry, guys. And I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Looks like we don't see anything happening for the time being. Sitting at about a 6,000 gold advantage in favor of Gamer University, as well as a 7,500 experience lead. So although that team fight didn't go that well for them, the gold still ends up skyrocketing, potentially based on the fact that they did end up getting a tower there in the base, in the top lane. Yeah, I got doorbelled. It was actually just my roommate there, so it's okay. He's a big Dota fan as well, so he understands. No time to say hi. Just come back to casting Dota. Really defensive posturing once again, as mentioned, on the back of Rat in the Dark. They're kind of a little bit uncomfortable, and rightfully so. Actually, an MKB picked up, very important pickup by this Life Stealer, making sure that he gets as many hits as possible onto this Faceless Void, considering that he has picked up this Butterfly. Faceless Void now using this time to sell his Hand of Midas, and has picked up his Crystallis, as well as the recipe for the Daedalus, and the Refresher Orb recipe is on the way. That does mean that Magnus is a little bit away. He's probably going to sell his bottle. Yes, there he does. And so he has his full Refresher Orb finished for the next fight as well. Faceless Void has his Daedalus as well. Is he actually going to get caught right now? Looks like he might get caught. A nice time walk away, but they do manage to catch him. Nice, oh wow, great blink forward as well. The trees go down too. It looks like he's going to manage to use his ultimate. Is he going to go down though? Yes, he does in the end. Nice play there. Level 3 ultimate with the Brewmaster as well. He has killed it, and he's used his Primal Split almost instantly. A nice open wounds as well onto that Magnus. Magnus is going to go down too. Rubik being cast up into the air. Masoku running for his life right now. He looks like he's going to be okay, but the Rubik doesn't on the other hand. So going to be stolen right there. He's going to go down. This is a really important engagement right now. I'm pretty surprised that they're not going straight for the Raxes, including the backdoor protection, if only based on the fact that they saw that the Faceless Void had picked up the Daedalus. He does not have buyback. Magnus used his money to buy his Refresh Orb. He does not have buyback. So both of those are on the sidelines for about 45 seconds in terms of that Faceless Void. This is a really important engagement. They could not have that go wrong. Windrunner doing as much as possible, but this is really a trade that might be okay for them. Actually, a TP going back in favor of that Darkseer. He's going to try to go onto this Windrunner. Windrunner can't really do anything right now. She looks like she's probably going to have to run away. Yep, she does end up running away. So this is going to be a 1 Rax trade for 0 here. The mid lane Rax is, of course, going down. An ultimate going onto the Shadow Demon. Are they going to try to switch? Nope, there looks like they're going to play it safe. Roshan has spawned, so they should probably make a beeline straight for Roshan. Excellent play there. Great catch on that Faceless Void. He did use his BKB as well, so that's 1 less charge for it, even though he did go down. So it's sitting in a 5-second BKB now, which is quite unfortunate. Are they going straight for Roche? That is the question. 35 seconds on the Brewmaster ultimate. Look at the straight beeline as well that the Radiant's making. They do not want to give this up as well. This is going to be a really important engagement too. Both ultimates, the Faceless Voids as well as the Magnus, are going to be up. So they have 2 massive teamfight ultimates up. However, the Brewmaster is still 20 seconds away. They're going to go in. Blink as well. Reverse polarity, hitting both the Life Stealer as well as the Panda. Nice split Earth though. Going in. Nice vacuum as well as the wall coming out. A nice second ultimate there coming out from the Magnus as well as the Chronosphere. They're going to get 2 down. Shadow Demon's taking a lot of damage as well. Leshrac taking a lot too. He's going to go down. Buybacks from pretty much everyone. A triple kill for the Faceless Void as well as a double kill. Ultra kill coming out of that Faceless Void now. What a sick play. Buybacks from pretty much everyone. They're going to have to back off. Most likely going to have to forfeit this Roche now too, considering the fact that the Primal Split is up for that Brewmaster. That 20-second timing window, which I talked about earlier, was hit in that engagement. So some excellent play coming out from both teams, understanding their situations, where they need to be as well. The fact that the buyback was up was really cementing the fact that so many heroes had to buy back to make sure that they came across well in that fight. The Gem of True Sight being dropped on the ground was actually picked up by the Leshrac as well, and they're just going to continue. The pings to defend the top lane actually going off right now for the Radiant. Gamer University is sitting in a precarious situation, even though they have 2 base Rax with them and still sitting at the gold lead. They're actually kind of behind in this game due to the fact that 1 Rax was taken for Team Rat in the Dark. This is neck and neck. It's 17-16 here. Game 2 of the Grand Finals of the GosuCup Americas #2. My name is Orbit, casting here solo, with Shred, of course, doing the camera work. Been casting for a while, but you know what? This is some exciting Dota, so I really have no complaints here. Oh man. Some great plays though, seriously. Good tower defense as well. The ultimates are going to be up in about 10 seconds and 13 seconds respectively for that Magnus and Faceless Void. This looks like a good engagement timing for the Dire as well. They have 5 heroes making their way into the top lane. Nice Ion Shell onto the Illusion by the Darkseer just to push out the mid lane. Some smart play coming out, seriously. I'm pretty impressed. As well as himself making his way up towards the top lane, just so that there is a 5-on-5 engagement. The Ion Shelled Illusion there, just pushing the lane. He's moving it forward as well, just to do as much pushing as possible to make sure that other lanes have to be defended while they do a little bit of damage onto this top tower. Now that the Aegis as well, I believe there is a cheese in this one as well. Let me just double check that. Yep, cheese is on the Brewmaster. So two really important things just to determine if this next fight goes accordingly or not. Edict stolen by this Rubik. Actually, a blink forward as well as the Chronosphere. It's just a time walk. Pretty much 2 shots that Shadow Demon. He's going on the Darkseer as well. Darkseer manages to get his wall off, of course. Unfortunately, he's going to go down too, but the Faceless Void actually taking quite a bit of damage. Darkseer's going to buy back into this game. He's going as quickly as possible right now. Actually, microing his illusions to full effect too. Are they going to try to keep up the pressure now that 2 ultimates are down? Looks like they want to. Wow, look how much damage that Rubik took. Pretty much 2 hits and he's at half health. Waiting just now for the Darkseer. However, with the surge, he is going to get there pretty quickly. Oh man, a blink forward as well as the clap coming on to the Brewmaster. However, because of that refresher orb, Magnus does have his reverse polarity up, while Brewmaster's ultimate's down for about another 70 seconds. That's going to be pretty important during this next engagement. Drums being used by this Faceless Void. Looks like they kind of wanted to engage, but at the same time backing out quite wisely here. Shadow Demon making his way as quickly as possible into this top lane. Telekinesis onto the Lifestealer. Lifestealer taking a decent amount of damage. Doing as much damage as possible. Excellent reverse polarity, hitting 3 heroes. Looks like Leshrac taking a lot of damage as well. The Skewer back. Looks like the Aegis Immortal is popped as well as the Darkseer going down. Darkseer does not have buyback for this fight. The Aegis Immortal is popped, as I had mentioned before. Luna's ultimate is going to be used as well, and they're going to melt the Lifestealer. Excellent defense coming out of the Radiant side. Oh man. They managed to keep their Araxes up too. Some great combo play, even though they didn't have that Chronosphere up. And what seemed to be kind of the Dire's lucky break is kind of turning against them for the time being. They are going to go onto this Winner for the time being. Winner getting disrupted, actually. She is going to try to turn around for the time being. Not too sure why, actually. But Faceless Void is in the background, trying to make his way up. She's only at about 60 health too. The MKB pickup on Windrunner, she's doing quite a bit of damage with that ultimate too. The Shadow Demon as well as the Brewmaster are pretty much running for their lives right now. The Radiant decide, you know what, this is a really opportune time to fight. That was a 1,110 damage crit coming out of the Faceless Void. Are they going to try to fight here? Another Iron Branch dropped here. Thank you so much, Lena. I really appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding around once again, but, you know. Maybe he isn't. Shiva's now picked up. Oh, cheese dropped here. They're giving the cheese to the Lifestealer. I definitely agree with this situation. I mean, he is really their frontal damage dealer. And once Brewmaster gets a split off, his usefulness is kind of dwindled quite a bit. Man, crazy engagements left and right. And center, really, I mean. Just everywhere. Back and forth game right now. It seems like it's a little bit favoring towards the Radiant for the time being. It's actually a 7,500 gold advantage. Lena picking up a regeneration there, just to get her mana up. She has 1,700 total mana. Had very little mana during that time as well, so... Good call there. Town Portal scroll dropped here. Man, items dropped everywhere in this game. I wanted to ping the Iron Branch. I don't know if you saw that. Hopefully you did on the camera. Some really defensive posturing now coming out of the Dire. And of course, rightfully so. They've lost the last couple of team fights in a row. Wow, those Ancients just got 2-shot by that Faceless Void. He's pretty much 6 item slot. The only thing he can really improve is just maybe rebuying his BKB, as it is only 5 seconds at the moment. Or even just buying BOTs. maximizing split push potential. Apart from that, man, he's really big. Here we go, a smoke gang coming out on the way of the Dire. If they manage to get a good pick off like they did the last time, of course, having been the Faceless Void. Speaking of Faceless Void, he's actually going to run right into this Lifestealer. Uses his Chronosphere. Nice BKB as well to stop that stun. Is Lifestealer going to go down? Excellent disruption as well. He pops his cheese right off the bat. Looks like a great reverse polarity hitting that Darkseer as well. Reverse polarity hit again, but Ewo is going to go down as well as the Windrunner. Faceless Void, does he have enough money for buyback? It's going to be pretty hard to tell right now. A nice Cyclone in the air onto that Magnus. Are they going to be able to take him down? Doesn't seem like it. Nice blink as well as a TP out. But that was an engagement that definitely favored the Dire. Does he have buyback? No, he doesn't. Sitting at around 760 gold away from buyback. That's 76 seconds that the Faceless Void is on the sidelines. That's really important. They look to go straight for the top lane right now, knowing that there is no buyback on that Faceless Void. And what seemed to be a really nice Radiant advantage has now turned tides. Faceless Void now buying back, actually. I thought it was a lot bigger of an advantage, but apparently he did have enough for buyback. Really scary place to be right now for the Dire as well because of that buyback. Here comes the Faceless Void popping his BKB, but an excellent Demonic Purge coming out, pretty much negating the entire BKB. Are they going to try to go on this or not? Really hesitant from both teams right now. There is no Darkseer wall, which is contributing to a lot of the damage. The fact that the wall hit the Faceless Void meant that they pretty much had an extra Faceless Void on their team. Oh wow, he pops the Rage. He's going to try to go for this. Forces the Fortify. They back out in full retreat now. This top Rax is sitting really low, only at about 150 health. Actually, now that the Windrunner's up, they might look to engage. They get a Telekinesis off onto the Brewmaster. He blinks away in time. Actually gets shackled onto that Shadow Demon. They're going to go on this. Wow, excellent play coming out from the Radiant side. Get two really nice kills on the back of a nice Shackle Shot. And a good bash as well. The time lock onto the Lifestealer. Lifestealer uses Infest. Unfortunately, pops out pretty much immediately and goes down as well. There comes the buyback from one. A Lifestealer also has a buyback. We'll see if he decides to use it. What a crazy back and forth game coming right now. Insane. And there's the buyback from the Lifestealer, so it's going to be a 5-on-5 engagement once again in about 20 seconds once that Shadow Demon spawns again.
Double damage.
Is the Refresher Orb up? No, not for another 35 seconds, but once it is up, they're going to have another double ultimate, pretty much double reverse polarity, which is very hard to lose a fight if you do get that. The only thing that can do really well for them right now is an excellent wall for the Darkseer. A solo Chronosphere being used onto that Lesh. Doesn't end up getting his Shadow Demon there in time, forcing the BKB as well. They have a Faceless Void on their team. Faceless Void on Faceless Void action right now. Primal Split being used by that by the Brewmaster, forcing the time walk out. Is he going to use the Faceless Void illusion right now? They are going to try to use it on this Lina. Lina's going to get stunned actually by the Brewmaster. She's going to go down as well. There's about a minute and a half left until the Roshan, but a smoke potentially to retreat. I'm not sure what they're doing with the smoke. Of course, there is the reverse polarity as well as the Refresher Orb up for the Magnus, so they do look like they might want to engage right now. Is he going to blink? Watch this Magnus really closely. They're both sitting on the sidelines right now. The blink forward as well as the reverse polarity. However, there is a pretty nice vacuum as well. The second reverse polarity hitting 3 heroes. Another vacuum stolen this time by the Rubik. They're all brought up to the high ground, but Magnus actually, he's sitting pretty low on health right now. My voice squeaking from all the excitement. Apparently I'm turning 13 again. But Void actually getting the last hit here. Gets the last hit onto that Darkseer. And what are they going to do with this slightly advantageous positioning? Of course, there was a buyback previously used on that Lifestealer as well as the Darkseer. No, Darkseer sitting only at about 130 gold away from his buyback. Still enough to have him on the sidelines for 50 seconds and a minute for the Lifestealer. Are they going to try to take a Rax of their own right now? The thing about the situation, I guess, is the fact that there's no towers left for the Dire squad means that if they do go for the Raxes, they could get a potential Mega Creep in one hit, in one swipe, I guess. The fatal swipe, if you will. Oh man, my voice. I'm not 13, I swear. I'm just gonna take a little bit of a break. My voice needs a little bit of a rest right now. It's about a 10,000 gold advantage as well as a 20,000 experience advantage, so starting to spiral a little bit out of control. Looks like they want to go right away. And here we go. A potential death push on the way for the Radiant side, being led by none other than Ewo as well as Mitsuko sitting at his side. and Mihawk in the background as well. They're going to go on this Brewmaster. Brewmaster gets melted almost instantly. Split Earth not in time, as well as the Disruption, just trying to halt the progress of this Faceless Void. Are they going to be able to get this Shadow Demon, though? Shadow Demon casting his Ghost Scepter, running away. Oh, man, the Power Shot misses, as well as the defensive Split Earth necessary. And here we go. Fortify being used by the Dire squad right now. Oh, wow, an aggressive Time Walk forward as well. Getting that Shadow Demon, pretty much one-shotting him as well. Here goes the bottom melee racks. They're going to look like they are going to go for the range racks. They aren't transitioning just yet. I'm surprised they're not going for top right now. It doesn't make too much sense to me. They decide they have enough time to go for the mid lane, actually. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They take the mid tower, going on to the mid racks as well. Melee's down. Life Stealer is now back into the fray, but I don't know what he's going to be able to do right now. There is a reverse polarity as well as a Chronosphere up at the moment. 1100 damage crit there. There's the Chronosphere as well, onto the Life Stealer. Pops the BKB as well. Did he manage to get that, didn't actually see what ended up happening there, but a great wall as well as vacuum there from the Darkseer. Unfortunately, it's not enough, and no casualties from the Radiant side means that they are going to go for this top racks. Going to go, calling the GG is Boogie, as well as the Team Rat there. It's going to go to a Game 3, ladies and gentlemen, of this GosuCup Americas. Man, I'm pretty pumped for this Game 3. Some really excellent plays being showcased by Rat in the Dark, as well as Gamer University Peru. Pretty neck and neck in terms of skill. And stay tuned for the next game. We'll be right back.